terrible decision during the Civil War in the 1980s.
I had a family, 3 children and a wife that I had left behind in Somalia, but it was a choice between 2 evils. Either kill people or escape to Djibouti.
Also, tension in 1950s East Germany.
They moved into position in front of the government ministries building. The tanks closed ranks and started moving towards the people. The only thing to do was run.
Plus, we have the first of the Windrush generation of immigrants to the UK from the Caribbean, a 1990s raid on a gay nightclub in Australia which had a lasting legacy. And all publicity is said to be good publicity, so the Americans naturally played golf on the moon.
When we were watching at 2 o'clock in the morning, I really thought I was seeing things.
That looked like a slice to me, Al.
That's after today's World News.
Hello, I'm Justine Green with the BBC News. Russian state media have shown evidence of the Defence Minister Sergei Shoigu visiting troops, the first such appearance of him since Wagner mercenaries mutinied over the weekend. The Wagner leader Yevgeny Prigozhin had denounced Mr Shoigu as evil and demanded his removal. Here's Sarah Rainsford.
There have just been pictures published by Russian state media that show the Defence Minister, Sergei Shoigu, supposedly visiting forward positions, a command post of the Russian military in its war on Ukraine, talking to commanders there. And I think the point of that is to show very clearly that the Defence Minister, who was looking extremely vulnerable after this mutiny, this insurrection by the mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, that Sergei Shoigu is still in post. Now, we don't know when those pictures were filmed, we don't know when the visit was made, but I think the signal is clear.
A Russian newspaper has reported that the head of the Wagner mercenary group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, remains under investigation by the Federal Security Service, despite an announcement on Saturday evening that all charges against him would be dropped. The Kommersant website said the decision to initiate a criminal case had not yet been cancelled. The NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg has said that events over the weekend in Russia were another demonstration of what he called the big strategic mistake President Putin made by annexing Crimea and invading Ukraine. Danny Eberhard has more.
After a weekend of extraordinary turbulence in Russia, Secretary-General Stoltenberg was keen to stress NATO's vigilance and steadfastness, both in terms of supporting Ukraine and its readiness to defend the alliance's own borders. He's been holding talks in Lithuania with that country's president amid preparations for a key NATO summit there in about 2 weeks' time.
A far-right minister in the Israeli government has issued an apology after facing fierce criticism for comparing the heads of the army, police and intelligence services to the Wagner group in Russia. Our Middle East analyst Sebastian Usher reports.
In a radio interview, the National Missions Minister Orit Struk described as a shame and disgrace a joint statement by the heads of the Israeli army, police and internal intelligence services that condemned recent settler riots in the occupied West Bank as Jewish national terrorism. Who are they to teach us morals, she asked. The Wagner Group? Those comments drew immediate criticism from Israel's main opposition leaders, Yair Lapid and Benny Gantz, who've called for her to be dismissed. Mr. Lapid said that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu needed to end the madness and rein in what he called his irresponsible and bizarre ministers. Ms. Struk has now apologised, saying her reference to the Wagner Group was completely inappropriate.
You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC. A woman whose husband and son were killed in the Titan submersible disaster last week has told the BBC she was supposed to be on board. Christine Daoud said she'd given up her place to her 19-year-old son Suleiman. He died in an implosion along with his father. Police in Western India say they've arrested 11 people in connection with the killing of a Muslim man on suspicion of transporting beef. They said the man was attacked in the state of Maharashtra. Here's Anbarasan Atarajan.
The majority Hindu community in India considers cows sacred, and the slaughter of the animal is banned in several Indian states. But beef is significantly cheaper than chicken and fish and is part of the staple diet for many Muslims, tribal people and the underprivileged Dalit community. Rights groups say dozens of Muslims and Dalits have been killed over the years by Hindu vigilante groups on suspicion of transporting cattle for slaughter or carrying beef. Activists say such attacks have increased after the Hindu nationalist BJP came to power in 2014.
The head of Iran's judiciary has said that some 20,000 cases have so far been dealt with relating to the recent wave of mass anti-government protests. Ghulam Hussein Mohseni has also said nearly 98,000 people were released as part of a general amnesty ordered several months ago by Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. A key suspect in the notorious racist murder of a black British teenager has been publicly named for the first time following a BBC investigation. Stephen Lawrence was stabbed by a gang of white men in southeast London in 1993. The Metropolitan Police had 5 prime suspects and 2 men were eventually jailed in 2012, but police said there were 6 attackers. The BBC has uncovered evidence showing that the 6th man was Matthew White, who died in 2021. BBC News.
Hello, this is the History Hour with Max Pearson, pulling together this week's witness.
Prigozhin doesn't want to end the war.
No, that's what I'm saying. That some of them would rather go and escalate the war. They are still our enemies.
Is that not what you're concerned about?
We are concerned, but at the same time, we understand that there is no other way just to finish up this war. All the red lines were already crossed. The new ones which were drawn also been crossed. There is a time we fight, and happily we are receiving enough weapons and support from the West. Look at this London conference on economic recovery of Ukraine. Billions and billions of dollars were promised.
Big day tomorrow for Ukraine.
It is.
Tell me more.
Ukrainians will that's something we were preparing for quite a while. We will see how everything will go.
And as far as Lukashenko is concerned, do you feel that the leader of the Wagner Group, Prigozhin, going to his country has strengthened his position?
I don't believe that Prigozhin is that important figure, especially anymore.
Really?
He played his own role.
He almost brought down the president.
I know. At least he tried to go there, and he scared everybody in his own system. And some people were obviously supporting him. But we have to watch for another leader to come. And Prigozhin was not the only one who was quite popular and then been just sent in obscurity. It was the guy who was running this 2014 rebellion, Girkin. Now he is a minor figure on his own local TVs.
When are you guys going to get around the table with the Russians?
As soon as this table will be established somewhere in between the Ukraine and Russian official borders.
Even if you move Russia back to their own border, there's still going to be a problem with that border.
The problem is quite weak. Definition of what will happen to Russia. There will be a huge danger to us all, especially if they collapse. It will be even more danger. But that's what we're prepared to do. We have to fight. We have to push them out to their own borders. And maybe they will just clean out their own system and try to build something better than they used to have.
So the bottom line is for Ukrainians, for President Zelensky, that you will not see an end to this war until you have recovered all of the land that was taken by Russia, including Crimea.
Let me put it this way. This is what we are planning to do. We are planning to fight. We have enough resources to do so. We are very aware of the losses we're having. We understand how difficult and tough it is. But at the same time, that's the best in our recent history, the best chance of us to build our own independent state and then live there.
Did you allow yourself at any stage over the weekend a wry smile from what was going on in Moscow? In February of last year, you were threatened that your capital would be taken in 24 to 48 hours. Over the weekend, in a 180-degree turnaround, it was Moscow that was threatened.
Yeah, dark irony here. They started with 2-3 days to take over Kiev, and now they defended their own capital and talking about civilian war in their own hands. That's what's happening to each and every aggressor, and they have to understand it. Whether the Ukrainians were happy that is happening, I don't believe they were happy, but there's some relief that they will have to.
I say that because I saw your commander, and forgive me, I can't remember his name, who's fighting in Bakhmut. He was sitting watching the videos, eating popcorn.
Yes, that's what Ukrainians, all of them, stored lots and lots of popcorn to watch this drama unfolding. Very unfortunately for us, it was very well, short-lived at least. We hope that we will see something like that in the future, which will distract most of their forces of the Ukrainian front lines. That's what we want.
And that's the idea, to have the distraction on their own turf, and so you can bring forward your advances.
Listen, I would be happy if our security service is so good that we actually created the whole precaution and, helped and supported. I'd like to think this way, but I believe that there are own internal problems which we will take advantage of, for sure.
And how worried are you about what's happening with the nuclear power plants?
This is the biggest power plant in Europe. So if there are nations who knows what is that, the nuclear disaster, Ukraine, one of our very few of those ones. So we understand what could happen. And that's why President Zelensky is trying to reach to everybody, the leaders around the globe, and try to tell them that, guys, we have to do something before it's too late. The interesting question, what to do right now?
Just before I let you go, is this another pivotal moment in the war?
I believe it is very important. Whether it's pivotal or not, we will see just in a couple of days. But I believe that this is very important. The leader of Russia is so weakened that they will have to rethink their strategy. That is for sure.
What do you expect to happen?
I hope that very soon something will happen with the military command. And then, don't forget that they have the elections 24. It's not just on you only or us, by the way, or the United States. Russians also have it. We might see the different result from what was expected by Russian system. There is no 7th or 8th term for Putin, I hope.
Well, Sky's International Affairs editor Dominic Wagon is in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro with reflections on how the uprising has been viewed in Ukraine.
The Ukrainians we've spoken to are heartened by what they've seen. They do think Putin's been weakened by this. The revolt was launched so easily. It was unchallenged. The Wagner troops are welcomed as heroes in parts of Russia. Putin said that they would be punished. They haven't been punished. So all that shows that Putin is weaker. And there are these now deep fissures clearly apparent in the Russian power structure. But I think that they're not getting carried away with this. Ukrainians. I think for them, if this is the beginning of the end for Putin, as has been predicted by many analysts over the weekend, the key question for Ukrainians really is how long is that going to play out? Because they are on a clock here, they believe. They know that Western appetite for supporting this war probably is not infinite. There's likely candidates in the American election next year who so far can't say which side he wants to win and is unlikely to support Ukraine. And I think they feel that they have to make the most of the support they're getting right now. So we're hearing from President Zelensky saying the West mustn't drop its guard. It must do all it can to keep pressure on Russia so international order can be restored. So I think that there's a sense here that they are encouraged by this, but they don't trust anything they hear from Russia or believe. They don't really believe what they've seen and what's been presented so far is what it seems. In terms of whether it's helped the military or not, the latest from the Deputy Defence Minister here this morning is that they've taken 130 square kilometres of land since the counter-offensive began 2 weeks ago, but no significant change in the last week or so on the southern front. So far what's happened in Russia has not changed things here in a military sense at all.
Well, joining us now is a military analyst, retired Air Vice Marshal Sean Bell. Sean, it's good to have you with us. And I think the question that many people are thinking about is what's next for Yevgeny Prigozhin? We obviously know that he's headed for Belarus, as they say, but why start something he can't finish?
It's fascinating, isn't it? This whole episode over the weekend has thrown up so many questions. As a military guy, I think sometimes we overthink these things. There's been lots of Machiavellian thoughts about, is Putin pre-positioning him in Belarus? Is this all set up as a major play? The harsh reality, if you look at it from a really simple perspective, Yevgeny Prigozhin's Wagner group were being told that they were going to have to sign contracts with the Russian MOD on the 1st of July. That date was fast approaching. It was pretty evident that Wagner Group, which only makes money when they are commissioned to do this sort of dirty work for Putin, was clearly that opportunity was waning, and therefore he was finding himself gradually ostracized and thought, I could mount some form of protest because his beef has not been apparently with President Putin. It was never described as a coup. He always described it as sort of a march for justice. And almost certainly what all this was an opportunity for him to try to oust Gerasimov, who's the head of the army, to oust Sergei Shoigu, the defense secretary, because Yevgeny Prigozhin has been absolutely adamant that they are responsible for the really bad way that Russia's been prosecuting this campaign. The problem was he set off, and initially he took over the headquarters. Nobody fired a shot. So he probably thought, I'm riding a wave of public opinion here. I'm going to be unchallenged. Absolutely. He went into the city of Rostov-on-Don, again, unchallenged, cheering in the streets and people welcoming him. Almost certainly, the ego that is Prigozhin thought, I'm on a roll here, and off he went up the M4, not our M4, the M4 up to Moscow, and gradually things started to unravel for him. Then, particularly, I think if you look at the numbers, he claimed he had 25,000. It looks like he had about 9,000 soldiers, some pretty effective equipment. But given the fortress that is Moscow, you can only imagine the phone calls that started to flow then to dissuade him.
And as you say there, he looked like he was on a roll, and he appeared to be on a roll. If you look back at events on Saturday, certainly some of the feedback we were hearing and getting from him. But then the news came in that things had changed abruptly. And what was interesting was that the news came in from the president of Belarus's office, who is, of course, Alexander Lukashenko, saying that Prigozhin has agreed to turn back and return to base. And many people were wondering, well, why is he getting involved? Obviously, we know he's a close ally of Vladimir Putin, but why is Lukashenko playing this role, and why is he offering sanctuary to Prigozhin?
It's, again, another fascination. We won't know, but what looks pretty evident is as Prigozhin was heading up the M4, actually he was being opposed. Apparently, he tried to call Putin. Putin wouldn't take his call. All of a sudden now, there were barricades being erected. The Russian Air Force started to try to fire against Prigozhin. By all accounts, 7 helicopters were shot down by Prigozhin. 16, we understand there are 16 Russian military who were killed as a result of that. So all of a sudden you go, this was clearly escalating into something else, and you can only imagine the doubts. Now, it almost certainly, if Putin would have done anything to stop a coup, absolutely anything, but he wouldn't want to talk to Prigozhin a reason because he wouldn't have trusted him. How the link to Lukashenko comes in, I don't know. But the fact is, Lukashenko has been in the pocket of Putin for many years. But if you note over the last few months, we've been reporting that gradually Putin is trying to exert more and more authority over Lukashenko and Belarus, putting nuclear weapons in there, doing training, mounting operations. And there is a hint that Lukashenko is getting increasingly uncomfortable with this because basically he's had to withstand a couple of riots in his country who don't want him to be a sort of annex of Russia. And it does appear that maybe Lukashenko saw an opportunity here to just increase his standing with Putin, going, leave this with me, let me negotiate. And you can only imagine that, for example, Yevgeny Prigozhin has 2 children. They're around about 30 years old, a boy and a girl. He's got a wife who's a business lady. You can only imagine they've got your family, they've got the family of all your leaders. You're not going to win. We are building a fortress. You're going to die, and we're going to make life miserable for you. There is a way out. And if Lukashenko is the man making that conversation, then it's quite possible that Prigozhin's anger would have subsided. He'd looked around him and gone, this isn't quite what I expected. And actually, therefore, an opportunity to save his life, but probably the life of his family as well. Goodness knows what happens to his business interests. He's one of the oligarchs, a very wealthy businessman in Russia. It's hard to see how any of that will follow him along. I doubt we've heard the last of Yevgeny Prigozhin, but it does appear this was a play by Lukashenko to garner his own influence and actually potentially rebalance the relationship with Putin. But again, we just don't know. And
talking about Putin, he did address what was happening very quickly on Saturday, that unscheduled address to the nation. He responded very quickly to the movements of Prigozhin, but he's gone very quiet. Do we know where his whereabouts at all?
Well, there was that flight, wasn't there, that took off from Moscow and the IFF, the transponder, was turned off pretty quickly afterwards. There was a lot of conjecture he was abandoning Moscow. I have to say that seems pretty far-fetched from my perspective. You know, Moscow is pretty much a fortress. If you're going to be anywhere, that's where you'd want to be. And it'd be very hard to understand how Putin would make a run for it. So the harsh reality is probably keeping quiet now. But it was really interesting to see him pop up on national television so early, because actually he exposed his hand. He showed that he was weaker. And I'm sure he wouldn't have done that unless he had to.
Sean, thank you very much indeed. That's Sean Bell there. Now, the Prince of Wales is launching a project aimed at ending homelessness, saying he wants to make it so that when it happens, it's rare, brief and unrepeated. The Homewards initiative aims to make rough sleeping, sofa surfing and other forms of temporary accommodation a thing of the past. It will initially be focused in 6 towns and cities across the UK, with each location getting up to £500,000 of funding. Its aim is to end homelessness within 5 years. This will be done by getting businesses, organisations and individuals to work together to develop bespoke action plans for each area. Our royal correspondent Laura Bundock reports.
What does home mean to you?
It's a big project with a bold ambition. Prince William wants to end homelessness.
Which is why I'm launching Homewards. A programme that commits to working with 6 locations across the UK over the next 5 years.
It's his first intervention as Prince of Wales, but a cause he's long supported and one very close to his heart. As boys, his mother took him and Harry to the charity The Passage. And on his 21st birthday to Newport with his father, opening a homeless centre. These early visits made an impact and left a legacy he's continued. The Prince in Peckham recently as patron of Centrepoint, visiting the charity's new flats. But his Homewards project goes even further, bringing together local groups and people to find local solutions to homelessness.
Wherever my dog is.
Sabrina Hatton-Cohen is closely involved. She's one of the UK's most senior fire officers, but as a teenager was sleeping rough.
I've been really impressed by the Prince's personal investment in this, and in particular the way that he's acknowledged the human side of homelessness and the way that he wants to take a really kind of person-centric approach. So it's not just about giving somebody a house, this is about the rest of the challenges that come with surviving homelessness.
Some might say ending homelessness is for politicians, not princes, and this project certainly puts the Prince of Wales in a political arena. But this is an issue he wants changing. As heir to the throne, his father wasn't afraid to speak out, and neither, it seems, is William. Laura Bundock, Sky News.
This is Sky News Today. Coming up, the government refuses to commit to the pay rises recommended by the independent pay review bodies.
I came to the UK at 4 years old.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free. Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
To write one of the stories. So I wrote the story of how I came to the UK with my mum and my brother, and I also illustrated all the stories. So not just my story, but Hassan's, Nadine's, Marie's, and Sonia's. So we actually all have quite a personal connection to the book because all the stories are based on our own true and lived experiences of seeking refuge.
When I do comic workshops, I sometimes work with refugee children, and a lot of that I don't tend to lean onto the trauma of that, but they're very open, and it's just because they've reached a safe place, so they're just really open.
Now to the row over claims that ministers could take the rare step of rejecting the recommendations made by pay review bodies for public sector workers. The Health Minister, Helen Whately, insisted this morning that she didn't want to preempt the government's response to wage increase reviews.
We know we have a number one priority of bringing down inflation, and actually the job in government and the job of Prime Minister is to make tough decisions.
So can junior doctors, just to clarify, can junior doctors, can police service, can teachers expect between 6 and 6.5% has been recommended by the public sector pay review bodies?
So I'm not going to preempt the outcome of the government's response to the pay review bodies.
But when your colleagues, and indeed you have sat there previously, and we've talked about percentage pay increases, you've always said we have to abide by what the independent pay review bodies suggest to us.
I don't believe that is what we've always said. What we always say, usually say, and certainly what I've said in the past, I believe, on this, is that we look at the recommendations from the pay review bodies. It's very important that they provide us with that
Chairman
evidence.
is chosen by the Prime Minister, and you tell them what the budgets are.
So what's
the point?
So the point is to have a process where you have expert advice on recommendations on pay, but the government has to make decisions in the round.
Let's bring in our political correspondent Tamara Cohen. And Tamara, what will it mean if they don't follow the rules?
So we're expecting at some point in the next few weeks these independent panels for different public sector workers, whether it's junior doctors, teachers or police officers, to report what they recommend should be the pay increase this year. And they take into account how much money the government's got to spend, what might be the recruitment issues in that particular part of the public sector, and of course the levels of inflation. Now, you'll remember that back in December, ministers like the Health Secretary Steve Barclay, who was on TV always being questioned about the nurses going on strike, said this was not a question for ministers how much nurses should be paid. He would defer to the independent public sector review pay bodies. Now it turns out that the government may not actually end up paying what they will be going to recommend, which it's been leaked to the newspapers over recent days is likely to be over 6% for teachers. Rishi Sunak, in a rare TV interview yesterday, said the government would have to look at what is affordable and would not commit necessarily to following their recommendations. Now, what does that mean? Well, it holds out the prospect of a lot more strike action this year. We know that teachers are going on strike already for 2 days at the start of July, and the junior doctors are already planning another strike. But as we head into an election year, already the public sector unions say what is being recommended is not as high as they want. And if the government tries not to follow those recommendations, they are only recommendations and the government have ignored them in the past, but traditionally they are supposed to follow them, then that holds out the prospect of a lot more public sector unrest and more difficulty for patients and for school children and for parents.
Aaron Westminster, thank you. Now for a check on the weather.
Warm memories wherever you go. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
It will be cooler this week and quite unsettled, but southern parts look like staying mainly dry.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature online.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Vedasse.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do that?
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. Of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world in adjustment. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your
This is
smartphone.
Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio UK. Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio.
All around the world.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio
Starr
UK
Radio.
right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
By the people.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. I want to salute each and every one of you and welcome you to the Monday edition of the Morning Show. Today is the 26th day of June. 4 days more for the end of June. My goodness, how soon? How fast? My. And I want to welcome you on board. I hope you all had a very nice weekend wherever you might be listening or watching us roll. Well, somehow we had a very good weekend. It was quite hot here, but somehow we managed to pro through it. And I'm saying good morning to my brother Felix on the way of the day. I've heard his word. And I'm saying morning to Mr. Olayomi. Yes, my colleague and co-presenter, he will be joining us and be bringing you updates from Nigeria this morning. Special good morning goes to HRH Linda Pallien all the way in Cyprus. Yeah, she'll also be joining in this afternoon to bring you Career 101 on the morning show. And I'm saying good morning to my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. Yes, working over the weekend, making sure all the weekend programs comes the way that's supposed to be. Nice, cool, and wonderful. You make a but I'm saying good morning to my bishop himself, Bishop Adeshina Adeyemo, and the wonderful staff at the RBS office there in Nigeria. I hope Nigeria didn't happen to you and you're doing good. But whatever happened to you, maybe let's take it that it was a negative side that happened to you. The good book says what? All things work together for good for those who love God, those who have been called according to a purpose. So somewhere, somehow, that bad thing that have happened, God is going to turn it around for you. What about that? Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Anthony Adedaji, good morning to you. Samsudin, good morning. Special good morning to Aziz, Sir Maxwell, and good morning to you all. And thank you very much. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones, and let them like our pages as well. It is Starr Radio UK, the Monday edition of the morning show. Now, if you don't know, now you know. I am the one and only.
This is the morning show.
So from now till 1 o'clock, when the curtains are brought down for the end of the program, this is how it's going to be. If it's the first time of tuning in to listen to us, I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel updates from this. We continue from then to look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Then at 11 o'clock, we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who will be bringing us in-depth analysis of what has happened over the weekend in Nigeria and the sub-Saharan Africa area as well. We continue from there to look at some of the other stories, from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar. As we say, if it's making the headlines, we're going to touch on it. Then at 12 o'clock, the lines are open for you to add your voice. So the discussions at 12:30, the first part of the program is brought to a close. Then we'll move on to look at what is happening when it comes to your career on Career 101 all the way in Cyprus with HRH Linda Pallien. Then after that, the curtains are brought down for the end of the program. So in a gist, that's what's going to happen today. So stay glued to your set, get yourself a hot or cold drink, whichever is appropriate, and let's take this journey. It's going to be a pleasant one. Welcome on board.
You make my heart beat. You make a dog
So now let's go to the quote for the day. The quote for the day says what it says: success requires 100% concentration on the part of the one who desires to be successful. So divided attention doesn't do it. Even in the good book is as well, it does say that. Okay, let's move on. Now the weather over the weekend here in London was, in the UK, was quite a hot one. But someone was telling me that it was 42 and elsewhere, quite hot elsewhere. But you know, here we have 32 and we thought, we are dying. But well, let me tell you what is going to happen today. For those of you in London and southeast of England, this is how the weather is going to be for you. Yes, sir. This afternoon we'll see sunny spells with patchy cloud developing, but it will stay dry. Sunshine becoming more frequent later on as cloud breaks once more. And then this evening will be largely clear and dry for all. It will remain clear for most of the night with light winds, though some may see a few areas of light cloud at dawn. A cooler night expected though. So at least we'll be able to sleep better than we have of late. Now, when the temperature is going to be 23 degrees, the low is going to be 13 degrees. Pollen level is going to be high, UV level high, pollution low. Sunset is going to be at 21, 22, and sunrise for tomorrow morning is going to be 04 45 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. Okay, let's take this quick commercial break, and once we come back, I'll bring you the travel update. Stay tuned, don't touch the dial. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, and we'll keep you navigated. I promise I'm on the Starr Radio Travel Update comes to you every weekday from 10:40. Now it's 10:46 from your travel from the time here in the studios. But what is your travels like this morning? Well, when it comes to the underground this morning, I can tell you assuredly good service throughout there. London Overground, DLR, and London Tramlink have all got good service there. But continue to keep your eyes on the roads as we take you to the major roads in London. And on the major roads in London as well, no exceptional delays all through there as well. A good one there. But let's move on to the river bus. Unfortunately, on the river bus, the Woolwich Ferry is operating 06:30 to 19 hours on weekdays. Only a public holiday service operates between 07 hours and 1800 hours. No service on the Woolwich Ferry on weekends except on Saturday the 24th and Sunday the 25th of June. Also Saturday 8th and Sunday 9th July when the Blackwall Tunnel is closed on these days when a service will operate between 07 hours and 18 hours. So if you're one who want to travel via that route using that means, please be warned. Now, on the landing cable car, I can tell you assuredly good service there as well. But keep your eyes on the roads, as you keep it navigated. I promise our boss. Let's move on straight to the final segment of the travel update. That's the National Rail. So what do we have on the National Rail this morning? Avanti West Coast, First Transport and Express, and Northern Rail have all got minor delays. And then Transport for Wales have got special service, so please check before you leave. So on that note, as I would do say, as I do all the time, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. You know what you gotta do this morning. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free. I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
All right. right then. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 10 minutes to the top of the hour, and it's time for Global Trotting. God who sits upon the throne. Okay, so yes, when it comes to what we're going to be looking at in Nigeria today, Naira devaluation pushes up vehicle duties by 40%. My goodness. And probe begins as mob kills butcher over alleged blasphemy. And cleric warn Muslims not to borrow for Salah Ram. You know, people are desperate. They want to celebrate. But you warning them. They want to fend for their family. They want to give their family something when they are celebrating something. They don't have the means. What do? Do they come home as a parent? Do you come home empty-handed and say, you know what? Sorry, we can't have anything. I know that would be the right thing to do, but people want to impress their families, and especially the little ones who are innocent in this situation and don't have a clue what seems to be. Every child thinks that their parents are filthy rich and is able to produce anything or provide anything for them. Well, so what do you think about that? A nationwide market survey found the price of ram and food commodities skyrocketing ahead of the Eid el-Kabir festivities, which is going to be tomorrow. But Nigeria, the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu says, I will meet Nigerians' expectation. And what expectation is that? Well, will he be able to stamp on the terrorist activities that is taking place there? Fulani menace that is taking place there as well? Oh, I call it Fulani Headsman menace. That's it. Okay, Obasanjo, other former leaders, AAC declared support for promotion of democracy against growing authoritarianism. Well, we'll see what happens there. Tinubu fails to join live economic session on stage at Paris Summit. Delegate tax to Nigerian ambassador. Nobody talked about this last Friday as well, but lots more coming your way there. Is it that people are looking at it and saying the president is incapable? What do you think about all that? It's all coming your way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And so moving on to some of the other stories making the rounds across the globe this morning. Okay, so on the other parts of Africa, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits Egypt to strengthen ties. Modi meets top Egyptian officials on Saturday afternoon and is expected to meet President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on Sunday, where two countries will meet to negotiate things. A Sierra Leone voting tally underway following general elections, but yesterday I saw some videos that were going viral and it was very bad. I saw bloodshed and I was asking the question, where did this happen? The message was saying, well, that was what was happening in Sierra Leone, and somebody sent it to her. And then please fire tear gas at opposition headquarters as Sierra Leone vote tally continues. Why has the police done so? A fighter still rages on in Sudan as thousands flee. One of the stories making the rounds there as well. Now when it comes to Ghana, come tomorrow, it's going to be the by-election for Asin North. And we know that the incumbent or the ruling government is doing everything possible to make sure that they win that, so that they can have majority in parliament, so that they can push through their agenda. But who the constituents actually just vote for the incumbent or the once removed, should I put it that way, MP of that constituency, Jachi Kwesi? Well, we'll tell you more about that as well. But this evening there's going to be a special program with Kemi Bossman, where he's going to be having some banter with the politicians in Ghana, one from the NDC, one from the MPP, and one other political analyst, and they're going to be looking at the Asin North by-election. So we want to invite you at 7 p.m. tonight. That program is going to be taking place. I come enjoying this tune this morning. I hope that you are doing so. But don't you worry, let's go on. Politicized court's comments. Akufo-Addo slams Mahama over attack on judiciary. Well, depending on where you are sitting at a particular time, they all do the same, The moment they come to be the ruling government, and then they say, no, the opposition doesn't have to say that. But when they are in opposition, they do the same thing. Our politicians, my goodness. That's why one Nigerian musician said, politicians have pity on us, pity on us. Are they? Would they? Starr Radio UK. Bank of Ghana orders banks to start using of armored bullion vans for CIT immediately. If the banks have not got it, what will they do? Or are there private entities who have gone that so that they can rent it from them? Maybe that is a clue. So it's a business trend a business line that I'm introducing this morning. Get yourself that, import into the country, and then boom, you can be making money. Charge them. Alright, and it's all Starr Radio UK. Moving on to other parts of the world as well. Well, last Saturday, it wasn't a good time for the Russians. The Russian leader, Russian defense minister, shown visiting troops at Wagner after Wagner mutiny. A state TV show, Sergei Shoigu, for the first time since Wagner mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin led a mutiny calling for him to be sacked. Because you know what happened to them? They fired on the Wagner group. But instability ratchets pressure on Russian President Vladimir Putin. Mixed messages on the Wagner mutiny have been raising eyebrows and changing perception of him. And Greek conservatives hail a win as mandate for change. Kyriakos Mitsotakis says his party is now the most powerful center-right party in Europe. Row in India over Obama's remarks on Muslim rights. Ms. Obama said last week that India may start pulling apart if minority rights weren't protected. And I seem to agree with him. Whatever happens, if it is a nation that all these people are coexisting in there, why should some people be marginalized? Are they not part of the country? If they're not part of the country, then we know that they're not part of the country. They can leave the country. But if they're part of the citizens and there is freedom of worship or freedom of association, then they should be allowed to do whatever they have to do. So far as they're not flouting it in your face, why not? Okay, a lot more going to be coming your way from there. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And when it comes to the UK front, the BBC has named a suspect in Stephen Lawrence's murder. How many years on? My goodness, evidence about Matthew White, now dead, implicates other suspects and reveals more police failings. Oh my, oh my, oh my. A high rate of avoidable deaths linked to NHS woes. People in UK are less likely to survive treatable conditions than in other rich nations, a study has shown. Okay. 10:58. Lots more going to be coming your way from here. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial. A man has been charged with the elderly murder, elderly women's murder. We'll tell you more about all that here in the UK and a lot more. But now, let's go enjoy some music whilst we wait for Mr. Olayomi to join in on the show. And I'm going to bring you Hallowed Be Your Name. It's one of my favorite tunes, and this is from Elijah. But that will be after this quick commercial break. Stay tuned, don't touch the dial.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Okay, with Elijah now. Hallowed be your name. Wherever you are, I hope that I'm putting some vamp in your steps this morning and give you hope that, well, when all hope is lost, there is one place that you can have hope. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. Okay, enjoy this tune and I'll be with you. Starr Radio UK.
We worship you, Lord. Open hands, we say, we lift our voices
and say, hallowed be your name. Whatever comes our way, we lift our voices and say, hallowed be. Sing it all around the world. Oh Lord, the one who is to come. We lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. Dear Lord, the beginning and the end. We lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. With a grateful heart, come on, if you feel voice, say, Jesus, Jesus, you never fail. You never fail. You are just the same. The same. Yesterday, today. Take a look at me, the one you say. Oh Lord, hallowed be your name. Lift up your voices and say, Jesus, Jesus, you never fail. You will never fail. You are just the same. The same. Yesterday, today. Take a look at me, the one you say. Oh Lord, hallowed be. Has He saved you? Put your hands together, come on. Oh Lord, to the mighty God, to one who is and is to come. Come on, come on. Put your hands together. We worship you, Lord Jesus. Oh, we'll take that one more time now.
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
Put your hands to Him. We lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. Dear Lord, no one, whatever comes our way, we lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. Oh my, the one who is to come. Are you ready to meet Him? We lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. Oh dear Lord, the beginning and the end. We lift our voices and say, hallowed be your name. Say, lift up your voices and say, Jesus, Jesus, you never fail. You will never fail.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Always the same, Lord. Yesterday, today. Oh Lord, take a look at me, the one you say. I know you have testimonies. Oh Lord, hallowed be. Sing to the great Almighty God. Lift up your voices and say, Jesus, Jesus, you never fail. You have never failed. You are just the same. Oh, just the same. Yesterday, what a beautiful Lord you are. Take a look at us. Look at me, the one you say. Oh Lord, hallowed be your name. All around the world, lift up your voices and say, Jesus, Jesus, you never fail. You will never fail. You are just the same. The same, Lord. Yesterday, today. You Lord, take a look at me, the one you say.
Oh Lord, hallowed be your name. Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Jesus, Jesus.
Hallowed be the name of the Lord God.
You will never fail. You are just the same.
Wherever you are, hope that you are enjoying the tune and enjoying the program this morning.
Take a look at us.
4 minutes past the top of the hour at a time.
What do you say?
We should be having Miss Olayomi joining us in the next few moments. But do me a massive favor, share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones. And those of you on other platforms that you are watching and viewing us on, that we are broadcasting, oh my, I salute each and every one of you. But for you, there's no need for us to be here, of course. But you there all the time listening to us, and I salute you for that. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Don't stop thanking him. Don't stop praising him. Jesus, you will never fail. You are just the same. So beautiful you are. Yesterday, today. Take a look at me. Take a look at the one you say. Oh Lord, hallowed be. You can't be tired now. Come on, lift up your voices and say, Jesus, Jesus, you
Never fail. All right then. That is Eli J for you. And it is Star Radio UK. So you know that at this point, that is when I bring you the White Lion himself, who is all geared up to come your way with everything that is happening in Nigeria over the weekend and today, of course.
Oh, my beautiful Jesus, come on.
But share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones. And as I did say earlier on, all those of you on the other platforms watching and listening to us, we salute each and every one of you. But you know, we have a special program that comes your way every Wednesday, and that is 18 hours, which in Nigeria will be 6 p.m. all right, and that is the Niger Voices, where we go into details about everything pertaining to what is happening in Nigeria. Well, I say good morning to Frank as well. Mr. Frank Davis, morning to you. Yes, message received. All right then. Jones AJ, yes, good morning. It says, and the only great white lion. Yes, we are here to serve you breakfast. So wherever you are, let me say once again, welcome and good morning to you, Mr. Olayomi Koike.
A very good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Frank. Good morning to all our presenters and all the sound engineer. Most importantly, good morning to all our listeners from around the globe, and welcome to the 26th day. I was listening to you. Yes, it's now countdown to the end of the month, and likewise the half of the year, as we are still gearing up for as many of activities that we don't know might happen before the end of the year, because we were just coming out of the submersible. We saw the weather is going to be a coup in Russia, but that seems to have died down. But the most important part now is the focus on Africa, and that is the most populous black nation in the world, as they say, because I was actually looking at the BRICS exit. I'm going to put that up, which was a kind of what we can say, when the UK was coming out of the European Union, there were some things that were also being talked about surrounding Nigeria, and I'll be touching on that. So I say good morning to you, Mr. Archie, and I will likely come back again to you in the studio as we prepare. And that is, I've got the document in front of me. It says quite well, Commonwealth Trade Case Studies, Nigeria. This was put together by David N. Center for the BRICS Exit Study, all together by the Birmingham City University. I'll be touching on that in the course of the program this morning.
Okay, how are you, and how is the family, and how was the weekend?
Well, the weekend was splendid because the most important part of weekend is to spend time with the family. But as we do from the broadcasting, we're also making sure that we keep our ears around the world, to see what is happening. There's a lot happening. You've talked about Sierra Leone. I've been following that as well. It seems that Africa is still not getting it right when it comes to election. But apart from that, I think I spent the weekend indoor, but enjoyable, but most importantly concerned, as a lot of Muslims that are in Nigeria, as they are going to be celebrating the Salah, they are even being told, please do not borrow the ram in case you might be thinking of doing so, because you might end up not getting what we call the offering out of it. So literally you have to use your own money to buy it. But as we know, there's a lot going on when it comes to the poverty level. So most people will be celebrating the Salah without doing what they have done for decades.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koike and North London Studios. I'm actually here in the South Studios, and we are going to be bringing you updates from Nigeria, as we do all the time, from Monday to Friday, every weekday we do so. So we hope that you are enjoying the program this morning. Okay, now with a picture behind you and a bit of snip view that you did post earlier on, Bishop Adesina says kudos to Koike and kudos to you, Bishop. Thank you for rallying the troops all the time to be listening to us. We so much appreciate you all, and we hope you're having a good day. Now, we know when it comes to religion, there are festivities that people or the faithfuls don't play with at all. You know, when it comes to the Christendom, when it comes to Christmas, everybody wants to do something, because we have, especially when maybe you are going through a time where you don't have the means per se, but you want to do something for the family, especially the little ones who are growing up, so that they know that, okay, it's a time of festivity, they can celebrate something. So parents or leaders or whatever, they will do their best to provide for them. But this is the case where information is coming, clerics are warning Muslims that, oh, don't do that. So you will go home, and I mean, thank God we are here, and we don't go beyond to such an extent, but you go home and you are not something that you've been able to be providing all this while. You go there, you don't have the means to do so. Don't you think that particular thing or that particular issue put people in a state where they think that I have to do everything to survive or to furnish for my family, and that causes people to behave untoward?
Well, I think until we need to start telling our people that as much as we are religious people, we should not go, beyond what we cannot afford. And if that message is clear from the clerics, the mosque, the church, and our traditional institution, that sometimes situation happen and you might miss the year of not celebrating the the Salah, but not literally you're not celebrating. It's just that the difference is you can have access to buy some of the ram that you're watching behind me and the food stuff just below as well. But the clerics today are now warning Muslims not to borrow for Salah ram. What does that mean? That is one of the headlines. The other headlines say, Salah, Nigerians lament the hike in the price of ram and foodstuff. A nationwide market survey found the price of ram and the food commodity skyrocketing ahead of the Eid Kabir festival that is coming up on Wednesday, which is less than 48 hours. And like I said, we have a population that is vast divided between Christian and Muslim in Nigeria, and likewise, the non-believers or those that also have their own traditional institution that they've kept so adhered to, whether in the north or in the southwest. But one thing we've got to understand is that Nigeria in the last 8 years is going through a lot when it comes to the economic situation. We now have a new government in place, and to stabilize these issues, which are the basic things of human rights. We're talking about food, water, but like I said, is it something that everyone has to? I mean, I was watching videos of those that are also meant to be traveling to Saudi Arabia that have paid huge amount of money, but for whatever reason they've been dumped in the airport across different parts of the world, and that literally means that some of them will not, because the borders will be closed. I'm talking about people paying, up to, I'm just doing the calculation because the naira is about 995 naira to the pound this morning. So looking at what some have coughed out, you're talking about almost 2,500 pounds equivalent. This is about 2.4 million. Some are paid up to 3,000 pounds. To go on holiday, in UK, we know they are going for a religious purpose. So that means that it is part of, their being a Muslim. But it seems that there's a lot that Nigerians are going through. Ahead of the Eid al-Adha festival this coming Wednesday, Islamic clerics have advised Muslims to shun desperation, which is a good advice, but celebrate the festival within their means. So it seems that the message is now trickling out that there's situation on the ground. Try just to accept that it is not you, it is just that the economic turmoil in Nigeria is not going anywhere soon. And I'll come back again to you in the studio at exactly 11:15 a.m., the 26th June 2023, the Starr Radio UK update from Nigeria.
Well, interesting. But how are the faithful ones? I'm taking it. Has the cleric did announce that are they making some provision where we have some of the mosques providing something? Because you don't want people to feel that upon everything that they've done, they've become so desperate and destitute. So are we going to be seeing some big hooks, let me put it that way, who have got financial muscles, or some of the mosques organizing something so that people can come in there and have that something of the sort happen, so that the vulnerable in society will also be able to enjoy something?
Well, maybe the president, I've just got the news. We know that it was, returning back to Nigeria from Paris, but all of a sudden, we're told that, Tinubu will be stopping in London for a private meeting. That's all we know. But the information says Tinubu to arrive in Lagos Tuesday for Salah. But I can say that he's a Muslim man, even though he's the president. But information reaching me says his house in Ikoyi, known as Bodilon, is full of people that are trying to see if they can get a hand on one of the ram that has now been, delivered in that particular area for those that are going to be sharing, maybe political parties or an average person, but it's going to be tough neck. Also, we know that in the northern part of the country as well, there's Muslim people that also support Nigerians, but also ex-governor is accused of stealing billions of the state fund and donate 200 million for Salah. So I don't know whether that goes in accordance with Islamic right. So this is coming 13 hours ago. A former Nigerian governor who is accused of stealing public fund, which while in office has now donated 200 millions of naira to residents for Salah celebration. Bello Matawa, who lost his second-time bid as the Zamfara state governor and left office on the 29th of May. Remember that, we talked about the vehicle, about 40 of them that were removed from the property. This is the same governor, and he says he owns those vehicles, but the EFCC says it doesn't belong to him. Apart from the graft allegation, Mr. Matawa government also failed to pay workers' salary, but that seems for 3 months. But it seems it has enough to dash out for the Salah. Whether that money is Allah, remember the Muslims love anything Allah. That means that something that it doesn't got anything to do with a bit of what Islam say they shouldn't do. But however, on Sunday, the state chairman of the All Progressive Congress took her in a statement saying the ex-governor donated 200 million naira to his supporters in the state for Salah celebration. Mr. Damfuna said the beneficiaries include party members, stakeholders, women, youth groups, and organizations in the state. And this is a question, if we are a country that is providing itself for Nigerians. I looked at the average of a Kwara state. Kwara has a population of 3.2 million. We're talking about that population. Close to about 2 million will be Muslims, and probably about the rest, share between the Christian. 16 local government. Let's compare that with Malta. Malta is 500,000 in population. The GDP is $17 billion as of 2021. Kwara State is looking for 189 billion naira, equivalent to $230 million for the budget for 2023. I'm sure you can work out the maths. Why is Malta doing very well? Malta is doing extremely well. When we looked at the revenue, where they are generating their revenue from, they're actually generating their revenue from highly industrialized service base. They are not manufacturing anything. It's all about the service base. I did talk about this yesterday, and the question is, why is 16 local government not also putting in a system that would then allow average Muslim in that particular state to buy the ram without waiting for the governor? And in a state that is going through turmoil like any other state, they've now cut out 2 days after their 5 working days. That means the civil servants are doing 3 days out of 5 because of the fuel subsidy in the state and across the country.
Wow. Listeners, lots more going to be coming your way. Mr. Olayomi Kweke in North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South studios, and we're bringing you updates from Nigeria. So let's move on. Let's move on. But if you are listening to us and you can actually buy a ram, share it with your neighbor who is of the faith. And I mean, why not? That is how it's supposed to be, right? Okay, good. So a word to a wise is always enough. All right, then. So now let's move on to some other story. The Naira devaluation pushes up vehicle duties by 40%. And those of us here in the diaspora and elsewhere, we do our best. I mean, because you send something down, you know that at least to work, it will be a vehicle somebody can use to do something, or even if you want to use that once you get into the country, you can be using it to be moving around. But 40%, yummy. What do you think?
Well, as many people love to sell vehicles second-hand, and that literally means because Nigeria is not manufacturing as much, but we are also importing a lot, according to the OEC world, because I looked at that historical data comparing, some of our imports into the country, which I am just looking up right now to give us, this data from 2021. And what I can tell you is that, the import to Nigeria was to the tune of $61.6 billion US dollars as at 2021. And when we look at, some of those things that comes into the country, vehicles are coming as well. And let me look at the cars. We are talking about sophisticated cars here. So let's take a look at the breakdown so that we have an idea. Looking at Naira devaluation is pushing up the vehicle duties to 40%. So in 2021, according to the OEC, says that in the United States of America, we imported about 1.6 billion value of vehicle to Nigeria. From Canada, we import $137 million. That's about 5.6%. India, we import 172 million of vehicles, and that means that Keke Napel is part of what we are talking about, because we know that these are coming more from India, and the bicycle from China as well. China, 4.05%. That means about 98.2 million. Not literally that all these are brand new cars, but we know that also there is the Okada that is coming, and then they do assemble them in Nigeria, when it's being put together. And most Nigerians at home that can't afford the brand new car, like the senators, like the average Nigerian, like I was looking at the very beautiful vehicle that Davido brought into the country is a Maybach. I think from what we are told, about 150 of that was produced. That would have cost him close to $500,000. That was also shipped all the way from Dubai by the airline to Nigeria. Even though I've seen a video where a pastor is saying, do not drive that car. I'm not sure what kind of vision is coming from there. But the custom raise exchange rate from 422 naira to $1 to 589 to $1. Operator has now kicked as import duties jump. Economics berate the federal government, says the policy will cause job loss, impoverish Nigerians, worsen the hardship. But the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigerian Customs Service, remember that we have a new custom CG. It hasn't been for a very long time. We now have a Yoruba man. Whether that is going to make any difference, we don't know yet. But the Nigerian Customs Service have taken the ongoing foreign exchange reform to the maritime sector with 40% increase in the exchange. The question then is, if we continue to import everything, UK is also bringing about $334.2 million worth of vehicle, and I believe that some of those will probably as many of the second hand, because when we go down to the port, which I have been so many times, as we speak this morning, Nigerians are loading the container with second-hand vehicles from UK, loaded with different kind of goods. They will be paying a lot of money by the time that gets to Nigeria. The NSC says on Saturday that they've raised the exchange rate used for the calculation of import duty from 422 naira to $1 to 589. The development, which has led to corresponding 40% increase in the import duty on the imported cargoes, including vehicles, has now angered operators. Starr Radio UK, I'll come back again to you in the studio as we continue to review some of the news coming out of Nigeria this morning.
Well, interesting one there. But Yomi, what happens? Let me digress a bit. When people send their vehicles in, and because of this high duty that they have to pay 40%, and they cannot pay it, what happened to their vehicle? What happens?
Well, the problem is we've seen as many containers abandoned. That means that by the time you calculate, what they do is, I hope there will be reform in the customs sector. I've sent vehicles in the past as well. There's always a delay, which is purposely done. That means that the vehicles is kept in there, or the container, whichever one yours is, and they purposely delay that so that you end up going into what they call demurrage. And if care is not taken, you can end up just forgetting about the whole container.
Wow.
Because by the time you multiply what I'm talking about 5 years ago right now, or 6 years ago, to send a 40-foot container from UK will be about less than £2,000. And imagine have to pay 3 times of that, just to get your container out, because of the reason that is known to the port for delaying your own container. Some have left a whole container because they've looked at it that it is not worth taking it out anymore. And that means also we've seen so much corruption, especially when they can find out there's something nice in your container. But rest assured that container might be of interest to a custom officer.
Wow. Interesting. Now we hope that a new customs boss will do something different that people will look at and say, well, thumbs up to him. But Aziz says, good morning to you, Mr. Archie and Mr. Koike and the rest of the Star Radio UK team. Aziz, we hope you are doing very, very well. Good morning to you. But let's move on to some of the other stories making the rounds. I will strive to discharge my duty to meet Nigerians' expectation, said by Nuhu Ribadu, the new National Security Advisor. Now, we had a previous one who was there. We didn't see much. We saw the ascension of or the rise in kidnappings, insurgency, and destroying of people's properties and stuff like that. But he's now promising that. What do you think he's going to be doing? He's going to go after all these Fulani headsmen and all these terrorist groups who are causing mayhem in Nigeria? What is he going to be doing?
Well, Nuru Ribadu is a Nigerian politician, a former police officer who since the 19th of June 2023 is now serving as the National Security Advisor after shortly serving as a special advisor on the security to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's 62 years old. He was born just a month after the Nigerian independence on the 21st of November 1960. So, in Yola. A full member of the All Progressive Congress, married, and also love reading, and he has a vision. But whether his vision will be able to save Nigerian, because I can tell you that in the last 72 hours, that means throughout the weekend from Friday, they've been kidnapping, and I can give you just a bit of some of those reports that we got from our reporter on the ground in Nigeria this morning, and some of those reports are not good as well. So let me give you some of what we have at the moment. I'm looking at unknown gunmen killed 2 in Rivers State. Amnesty International condemns the mob killing of a man over alleged blaspheming in Sokoto. In Sokoto again, a mob was beaten to death. And likewise, unknown gunmen killed a Nigerian naval officer in Lagos. All this has got to do with not just the security of the terrorism. We're talking about internal security, because if unknown gunmen can able to take out a naval officer in Lagos State, then we should be concerned. And if we are going to be concerned, it is the job of Nuru Ribadu to make sure that it can put in the intelligent officers across the whole country to find the crime before it is committed. Kidnapper have released 3 women. We've been talking about Kwara State, 16 local government, but 3 women have been released after about 7 million naira. I mean, when we talk about this figure, Mr. Archie, we talked about those that travel to Saudi Arabia paying about £3,000. So 7 million is almost equivalent of somebody paying £5,000. Imagine if I'm asked to pay £5,000, because I've been kidnapped on the M25. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to have such amount of money, because it doesn't work like that. So it seems that Nuru Ribadu is on the task. He wants to do exactly what the vision of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wants him to do. He's a newly appointed, but he's knows the game. He's been in the system before. He's a police officer. But the National Security Advisor, Nuru Ribadu, says he will strive to discharge his duty and meet Nigerian expectation. Like I said, he's just new into the office. We'll have to give him a bit of more time, maybe in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, and review whether he's doing the job. He was actually saying this on his Twitter verified account. He also extended his appreciation to friends and well-wishers over his recent appointment as the President's Security Advisor.
Well, we hope to see. It's just a matter of time as to whether he is performing better than his predecessor, especially he being in the thick of things before then. Right, let's start Radio UK. One other story, then I have Mr. Olayomi just going on. Now, Obasanjo and other former leaders of the AAC declare support for promotion of democracy against growing authoritarianism. Now, where is the growing authoritarianism? Is it the the federal government that is they are targeting, or they are looking at various states? I mean, we take places in the north where blasphemy, because they say, oh, blasphemy, and they decide to lynch somebody or whatever, they just kill the person. Now, if there is democracy, the rule of law, that means that this person has to be taken to the court. Let him be proved beyond all reasonable doubt that he had committed whatever offense they are led to be charging him with, and then if he needs to face the full rigors of the law, he does it. But we don't see that. So what is this democracy authoritarianism that Obasanjo and other leaders are saying?
Well, I was listening this morning to the new chief of army staff while he was being decorated, and he was referring back to when Obasanjo was given a PhD, and then when he was asked by a reporter, whether he's a general, he said yes. Whether he's a chief, he said yes. When he was asked whether he's a doctor, he said that one he was dash. So I just listened to that this morning. Obasanjo is not new to Nigeria. I'm actually even trying to find out where that story is, but I'll just go in accordance to what we've put out already. Obasanjo is not new when it comes to speaking out against a lot. He's one of the most president that have written so much. Yes, I think I've got a story to what we called the other president. He wrote to Obasanjo, he wrote to Buhari, he wrote to Jonathan. At some point he wrote to also he hasn't written yet to Tinubu, so we have to wait to see what letter it will be. He didn't support Bola Tinubu for reason known to him, but what we know is he gave his full support to Peter Obi, even though in an interview that I listened to some few days ago, Obasanjo still adamant that he believes that Peter Obi is the right person. But Obasanjo, other former leaders, AAC declared support for promoting of democracy against growing of authoritarianism. World leaders, top government officials, head of organizations, and political parties have declared support for sustenance of democracy against growing authoritarianism. The leaders and other stakeholders at this 3-day conference on rolling back authoritarianism in Poland declared that they will promote democracy. I mean, it's easy to say they'll promote democracy. We can see what is going on in Sierra Leone, especially when there's a upcoming election in African country. It seems that it's all about the do or die. World leaders and top government officials and head of the organizations and political parties have declared support for sustenance of democracy against growing authoritarianism.
Okay, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, with Mr. Olayomi in the North London studios and Archie here in the South studios. We're bringing you updates from Nigeria. We'll go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds at 11:34. Over to you, Yomi.
Let's focus back again on the economy of Nigeria. The CBN Gate Foundation partner to promote financial inclusion. The price of cooking gas dropped by 6% in May. Kerosene jumped by 0.99% according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Salah, Nigerian lament hike in the price of rams and cows, and those that will also be celebrating And like I said, if it's not possible, do not push yourself. I was listening to Akinwumi Adesina, the president of the African Development Bank, trying to say that in Paris is going to be giving all his support to the new president Bola Ahmed Tinubu. African Development Bank pledges support towards revamping Nigeria economy. It's all about the economy, in every part. The African Development Bank president Akinwumi Adesina has now pledged the bank towards revamping Nigerian economy. Mr. Adesina made the pledge during a meeting with the Nigerian president Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Paris, where they both had, some kind of discussion on the global financial path summit. The African Development Bank president said by Twitter handle, I had a great meeting with President Tinubu during the new global financial path in Paris. I was impressed by his commitment to bold and sound policy for Nigerian economy. We strongly support his vision for Nigerian economy. Mr. Tinubu commended Adesina and the African Development Bank for the bank investment of about $520 million in the Special Agro-Processing Zone program, which was reputed as the largest in scope and size in Africa. We need to get people out there, industrialize the farming sector so that as many food. I was listening to my wife on the phone this morning having a conversation. I don't know what is being planned, but as usual, women are doing their own little bit. And the woman on the other phone was complaining about 2 yam somewhere in Lucia Market is costing about 17 pounds. That shows that this is the Puna yam, which I'm sure you're aware of. This comes mostly from Ghana as well. So the question is, why is Nigeria not getting this yam to UK market when it is a huge demand? I mean, we can use it for different things, yam porridge, yam finger stick, so many things can be produced out of the yam, but it seems that, it is still not a market being mechanized enough, because even if the farmers are growing it, as in Benue State has the best when it comes to soil texture, the terrorist Fulani is disturbing them. Getting it to the port is another problem. The port itself is another wahala, as the Nigerians will say, because in the port, as remember we spoke to Captain John. He is a very, very bitter man. He's a captain. He says each time, he looks at the demands of Nigerian produce outside the country. The question is, how do we get this demand? And let me go back again to the export. Nigerian export was based on crude petroleum in 2021 that gave us, when we come to the exports in Nigeria in 2021, the crude gave us 72.5%, which is about almost 41.8 billion. When you look at the cocoa beans, it's about just under 1.35%. And Netherlands bought a lot of that for their own reason, knowing that they can convert the chocolate, the cocoa to chocolate, and the coffee and other things as well. When you then look at what other more, gave Nigeria money, petroleum, gas, gave us also equivalent of 8.52 billion. Nigerians should have been able to use the agriculture, which if we have followed the trajectory in 1960 to date, we would have been one of the largest, when it comes to the export of the farm produce, but that is not happening. And that literally means that only 2 major items in 2021 gave Nigeria a huge revenue. That is the crude petroleum, the petroleum gas, and that is about it, at about the 2021. So let's touch one more, and then we go straight to what is happening on the social media at 11:38 this morning as well. How the ex-IG flush out road cops promoted discipline. A very sad one. I watched a video that was sent to us with Verify, where a Nigerian police killed the other officer, sold his weapon for 300,000 naira to terrorists, and both the terrorists and this officer have now been apprehended. What a very sad situation that an officer killed his partner, sold the weapon, and then those weapons have now been used to commit crime as well, but they've not been apprehended. We hope things will be done. I said I was going to talk about the Commonwealth Trade Case Study earlier on. Let me quickly give you the summary. We know, as usual, the rhetorics. Nigeria is the most populous country and the largest economy in Africa with substantial oil and gas reserve. They remain the significant ties between the UK and the Nigerian, facilitated by education and the large Nigerian diaspora in Britain. Nigerian tariffs are high by European standard and are particularly severe in automotive sector. We talked about that earlier, with about 40% rise when those that are sending vehicles and containers to Nigeria. Also, the non-tariff barriers are extremely challenging, with the border compliance taking 284 hours compared to an OECD average of 9 hours. I talked about that earlier. It is deliberate. You send a container, all they want that container is just to get into demurrage. And the question is, why must a container that have arrived at the port continue to stay in the port when it can be released out? But it's all about the fraud. So we hope the new custom CG will be changing these, so that as many Nigerians that still want to run and send business stuff to Nigeria through the cargo, because it's expensive using the air. It costs about £4.50 per air, but as many Nigerians will prefer to use the 8 weeks window, and they can assure that their windows does not end up becoming another 8 weeks inside the port. Let me talk about the overview, and this is a trade case study. Nigeria has the largest economy in Africa, with a rapidly growing population of about some 190 million, in addition to being a major oil producer and exporter. Nigeria is already the 7th most populous country in the world. Is projected to overtake the United States of America as the world's 3rd most populous country during the 21st century. Nigeria is a major commodity exporter and is a significant potential market, leading it to be considered a target to grow post-BRICS exit trade within the Commonwealth. The country has the 10th and the 9th largest oil and natural gas reserve, respectively. Nigeria is the #1 recipient of the FDI in Africa, although the country is extremely poor relative to the European standard, has problems in infrastructure, power supply, and the mass unemployment. We know that about 134,000 Nigerians visited the UK in 2014. One result of this is that the British luxury brands are comparatively well known in Nigeria, which together with the oil industry may help explain why the number of the major British firms already have extensive relationship with an operation in Nigeria. The country also runs a number of investment incentives that may be of interest, and we're going to be talking about more of these over the week, as we know that the British High Commissioner Dr. Richard Montgomery visited the Vice President, and it's all about the bilateral trade. So I'm going to go straight to what is trending on the social media this morning, and as we always say, stay tuned to the Star Radio UK. Remember to follow us on all the social media. African Confidential at Bumi_speaks. If you are condemning the stoning to death that happened in Sokoto and calling for justice, then you are just wasting your time, because it means you are not paying attention. The North have succeeded from Nigeria, and that to them is justice according to their Sharia. Keep shouting, one Nigeria. So we take more from the social media. I'm going to come back then again to you in the studio at 11:42. Lot is trending. It seems that one particular celebrity is trending, known as Banky W. I don't know how true it is, but allegation says he's not doing very well, because he's actually taking another woman, and the wife still celebrated him on Instagram. So I don't know how that is working out. Biafra land is trending. The Northern Nigeria is trending. The national anthem is trending this morning. And most importantly as well, Muslim is trending at about 124,000. And we know why that is trending. Remember that we have Tinubu, the Muslim, Vice President, the Muslim, even though the speaker was almost a Muslim, but that was not allowed to go through. Okonjo-Iweala has been trending, and she's also been telling Nigeria to take it easy on her, because she did not post the picture with her, with Tinubu on time, but she did with others. Okonjo-Iweala excluded Tinubu and others in her Paris summit photo, sparking criticism. Akin Adesina did the same, but those who complain are now silent for obvious reasons. Àwọn Òpònú, Southwest APC. Also, First Lady Christian, Speaker Christian, SGF Christian, CDS Christian, Chief of Naval Staff Christian, Acting Inspector General of Police Christian, Chief of Defense Intelligence Christian, and a Muslim government made all this happen. May Nigeria and Nigerians succeed. I'll come back again to you now in the studio.
Wow. Okay. The statistics is quite an interesting one. But we hope that things. I mean, until the time where groups or various people decide that, look, we've had enough and leave, well, there should be some peace there so that people can go about their duties. Not that there is so much kidnapping or whatever, and then you being forced to be paying ransom and stuff like that. That makes people actually think that what is the point of living in that particular part of the world. But Anthony Adedeji, thumbs up to you and good morning to you as well. But interestingly, whilst you were on, some information that was coming my way from Kano, that the government there, the Kano government, have destroyed up to a worth of 226 billion properties. I mean, 226 billion naira worth of properties in that part of the world. Now, I'm asking myself the question: is it that those properties were built in areas where they're not supposed to, or is it because maybe they didn't get the requisite licensing or certification to build that? What exactly? Do you have a clue what goes on there?
I think it's just a flew between the governor that left and the new governor, nothing more than that. Even if these were not meant to be built in a proper way, I'm sure there's still a way around it. But if they are being built in a way that is now going to be a problem in the state, then the new governor has the right to remove them for safety reasons. But we know that that is not always the situation in Africa, mostly Nigeria. It's all about the bitterness politics that they do play. And the reason why is there's a new sheriff in town. He's just showing his own muscle.
Well, let's see what a new sheriff is going to be doing. Those of you on other platform, we salute each and every one of you. But before we go, now we did talk about this last Friday. That is the Tinubu failing to appear on to join live economic sessions on stage. How is his mental capacity, resilience, and everything going on after taking the office for almost come 29? Then it will be a month. How do you assess him so far?
Well, so far, all we can say is that he hasn't done much apart from, the normal, things that any president would do. Yes, he has made a lot of changes when it comes to the security area in the state. Across the country, rather. The chief of staff have been removed. But the performance, it's all about on the economy base as well. Many Nigerians, I was listening to a radio broadcast that was sent to me this morning in one of our media correspondents, I believe in Ekiti State, and the person on the being asked question was saying that it seems that the Nigerians are still believing that it's still a new government, so the romance is still there. Probably in the next 6 months, this romance will stop when they start feeling whether it's going to continue to be like what it is right now, or there will be changes. So we have to wait a little bit more time to review such.
Well, it's in the honeymoon time, so let's see what happens. But the election tribunal, have they come up with any different thing or any information coming from that point at all, or it's a done deal?
Well, it's not yet a done deal. It's still an ongoing. The cases is still in the court, as we know, until the outcome. We can only wait a little bit much further. But again, there will be a lot. Set up electoral reform panel, situation room, tells Tinubu, is one of the headlines. That was about 3 days ago. The coalition of 80 human rights organizations under the aegis of Nigerian civil society situation room said 3 days ago that President Bola Tinubu should set up an independent national electoral reform panel to bring credibility to election in Nigeria. Well, a lot of these is just said, but even if they come out with the outcome, it's been kept somewhere under the cabinet until Tinubu goes and the next government comes in again. So we'll have to see whether it will adhere to that while we're still waiting for the Election Petition Tribunal to conclude their case.
Well, some are calling for him to maybe sack the INEC boss like he did to the Central Bank of Nigeria's boss. Do you think he will do that?
I don't think he's going to do anything of such right away, but maybe in the long run, definitely. We know that these are not meant to be there for a very long time. Whether Tinubu will keep them for, till the next, we will have to wait and see. It's still early to call. But now that he's back in Nigeria, from the news that I'm getting that he'll be returning back to Nigeria, it tends to remove people in the middle of the night. So maybe there'll be some movement again tonight. But we don't know which part of individuals will be coming out and new one coming in.
one of my cousins do say something. He said, Morocco wizard, man sleep but one eye open. So when he sleep tonight, open one eye, because there could be that Tinubu will remove somebody. Now, Pero, good morning to you. We hope you are doing very well. Yummy, before we go.
Well, as we say, stay tuned again. There's more headline coming through from the Star Radio UK network. I'll be on again tomorrow. And for now, just make sure you follow us on the Twitter, where we continue with the conversation. Have a very good morning and bye for now.
Bye-bye. Well, listener, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koike bringing you updates from Nigeria, from our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios. We're going to be continuing to bring you the rest of the show, but that will be after bringing you some music. But let's take this quick commercial break, and once we come back, we'll continue with it. But like I said, I did announce this morning, this evening, exactly at 17 hours. That is, my apologies, 19 hours, not 17 hours, 19 hours BST. That is 7 p.m. or in Ghana, 6. That would be what? That would be 8. No. That will be 6 p.m. in Ghana, okay? KB Bossman will be coming your way with a special program that is geared towards the by-election that's going to be taking place tonight. My apologies. Tomorrow. I think because we are thinking that Tinubu is going to be sacking some people over in the night. So tomorrow at the Ascent North, we'll be talking about that in a moment. But wherever you are, keep your dial so logged on Star Radio UK. A commercial break, and I bring you some music. We'll continue with it. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams, and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Top dog.
The best radio show.
Radio UK.
Only the best music.
Archie on Starr Radio. Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 4 minutes to the top of the hour at a time. Yes, let me announce the lines open and then we kick off from there. But remember, tomorrow afternoon as well, exactly at 1:30, BB Clement will be coming your way with BB Means Business. It comes your way every Tuesday and is repeated on Thursdays at 17 hours BST. So make a date of 5 p.m. every Thursday. There is a repeat of that program. Okay, but now let me announce the lines open. You want to join in the conversation? 0208-133-2257 or 58 0208-133-2257 or 58. Now, if you happen to be in the US or the Caribbean area, it is 001-718-303-2737. So whatever you do, make sure you make an attempt or try and call us in. Now, if you want to text or WhatsApp us, 0753-966-1744. Also, you can WhatsApp call us and I'll be able to pick it and you can make your voice heard. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK and email address is info@starradiouk.com. So whatever you do, make sure your dials are logged on Starr Radio UK and enjoy the rest of the show. But the NHS is still announcing, yes, for those of you in the UK, yes, until the 30th, there is free vaccination going on. So if you have had your first vaccine or you've not had any vaccination at all, COVID vaccine, oh my goodness, yes. You don't want this summer gatherings, massive gatherings going on, holidays being impeded. As I did say the other time, there were a few people that I know who went for an event and some of them caught the COVID and all that. But if you have taken a vaccine, it helps you a great deal, right? So we want to encourage each and every one of you. Call the 111 line, 119 line, and all the various platforms, and make sure that you go in, book your vaccination. It ends on the 30th of June. So please take advantage of that.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One.
Tune in every day, every night at the Star Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Arta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program. It is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Thank you very much for still staying with us, as I've said. But this evening I've been announcing, this program is going to be taking place with KB Bossman, and that is, let me try to bring you that program. Let me bring you a sneak view of what. Yes, just bear with me while I try to line it up nicely for you to see what is going to be looking at. But as I did say, there's supposed to be a by-election in Ghana tomorrow. Yes, a by-election in Ghana tomorrow, and the various parties are going to be represented there. Mainly the MPP, the NDC, and other parties. But KB Bossman will be having a chat or discussion, a special program with some great politicians this afternoon and this evening, and they will be looking at that, and who will win that same North by election in Ghana, the NDC parliamentary candidate, Supreme Court trial, and everything that is going on. He's going to be having as his guest Lord Edusei Akins, who is he holds a PhD in research at the University of London School of Oriental and African Studies, and then Conrad Dumba, who is NDC Milton Keynes branch chairman, and Fifi Asante Mpare, who is also an entrepreneur, a UK in Ghana, social political activist, and a member of the NDC UK. Well, there's not to be, I don't know whether Lord Akins is the rep from the MPP, but so it's all going to be unfolding here on the special program, Faith Talk, a special one there, but with KB Bossman this evening exactly at 7 p.m. So make a date with them. But let me say good afternoon to Samsudin. Samsudin, I hope you are doing very, very well. He says Yoruba Nation now. It's Yoruba Nation that we want. And God bless you, sir, and God bless you, Shamsuddin. I hope you are doing very, very well. We thank God. All right, then. Now let's crack on, because at 12:30 I'll be taking you to Cyprus, where our own HRH Linda Pallien is this afternoon to bring you everything that you need to know when it comes to Career 101. Okay. So what is happening in other parts of the world? What is happening in other parts of Africa as well? Let me bring that your way. Now, in Kenya, 5 civilians have been killed and some beheaded in Shabab attack in the east. Police fire tear gas at opposition headquarters as Sierra Leone vote tally continues. What has happened there? International African American Museum to open soon. Some of the stories making the rounds. Let me bring that your way. Stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. And in Mali and Central African Republic are watching with concerns as Wagner mutiny unfolds in Russia. That was for Saturday, but we'll be telling you more. So, has the Wagner actually lost its power, especially with their operation in Mali, in Burkina Faso, and in Mozambique and other African countries where they seem to be shoring their security up? What's going to be the impact there? Stay tuned and don't you go away. Well, 5 civilians were killed and some beheaded in an attack on Saturday evening in 2 villages in eastern Kenya, claimed by the radical Islamic Shabab, police and local sources said yesterday. The attack was carried out at around 19:30 hour, that's 16:30 GMT on Saturday in the village of Juhudi and Salama, located in the coastal county of Lamu. Now, which borders Somalia, according to these sources. Now, 5 people were killed. The victims' throats were slit and others were beheaded, a police source told our representatives there. Now, the assailants were armed with machetes and some had firearms but did not shoot at them. The victims' throats were slit and others were decapitated, added the source. The resident of one of the villages, Hassan Abdul, said the women who were locked in the house and the men were ordered to come out. They were tied up with ropes and massacred. In total, 5 people were killed, including the secondary school people. All those killed had their throats slit, and some were beheaded. He added, claiming to have counted between 20 to 30 assailants. Now, according to another resident, Ismail Hussein, the attackers also seized goods belonging to the residents, in particular foodstuff, before fleeing by firing into the air. The Lamu County Prefect Louise Rono confirmed the attack but did not give a death toll. We have increased security in the area following last night's attack, he said on Sunday. Is it not too little, too late? What is happening there? Well. So come your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, Sierra Leoneans went to the polls on Sunday, over the weekend. But, well, this is what is happening. Sierra Leone police announced on Sunday evening that they had used tear gas canisters to disperse opposition supporters in Freetown. The day after the presidential election, which passed off generally peacefully, and it is still being counted. Now, if the opposition gathered in front of their headquarters, what was their beef? Were they planning to maybe storm town or protest or cause anything of the sort? Did they have any intel that is negative? Well, Samoro Kamara, the main opponent of incumbent President Julius Maada Bio in the election, said on Twitter that bullets had been fired at his party's headquarters in the capital. Nasiri Yahya Tunis, a spokesman for the All Progressive Congress, Mr. Kamara's party, said that a woman died in the incident. She was on the first floor in the medical unit. She is a nurse. We have a small dispensary in our headquarters where she was working. He said Sunday evening of the announcement, which could not be immediately verified. The Freetown Mayor Yvonne Aki Sawyer, also an APC official, posted photos on Twitter of the interior of the formation headquarters, showing people protecting themselves by lying on the ground. We are at the APC headquarters under fire, she wrote. Now, police said APC members were demonstrating in Freetown, announcing to the public that they have won the election in a statement sent to the AFP on Sunday. These demonstrators attracted outside the APC headquarters a crowd of supporters who started causing trouble to passerbys, it explained in a statement. Now, when the situation became unbearable, the police threw tear gas canisters at them to disperse the crowd, which was disturbing people on the public highway, she added. Now, some 3.4 million were called upon to choose between 13 candidates for the presidential election, an election with the appearance of a 2018 rematch between Mr. Bio, a 59-year-old retired military officer seeking a second term, and Mr. Kamura, a 72-year-old technocrat and a leader of the APC. Now, Mr. Bio, candidate of the Sierra Leone People's Party, won in the second round with 51.8 million of the vote. Now, according to the Electoral Commission, the vote counting is continuing. Results are expected within 48 hours of the poll. No figures for voter turnout were given on Sunday afternoon. In previous elections, turnout ranged from 76 to 87%. That is a massive one. My goodness. Woo! Well. It is welcome your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One other story from thence, and then I take you straight to Ghana as well. And this time around, pertaining to agriculture. The International African American Museum to soon open in Charleston. Now, International African Museum will soon open in Charleston, South Carolina, at one of the country's most historically significant slave trading ports. Now, overlooking the sacred site of Gadsden Wharf, at which an estimated 45% of enslaved Africans entered America, the museum houses exhibits and artifacts exploring how African Americans' labor and resistance shaped the nation and the world. It also includes a genealogy research center to help families trace their ancestors from their arrival on the American soil. Now, true sets as free to understand, free to respect, and free to appreciate the full spectrum of our shared history, free to feel empathy and common purpose, and free to build a stronger future together, said Joseph Riley, the former mayor of Charleston, North Carolina, speaking at the opening ceremony on Saturday. More than 23 years in the making, the museum had been originally set to open in 2020, but was delayed by the coronavirus pandemic, as well as issues in the supply chain of materials needed to complete construction. This is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. What impact would that make? Well, interestingly, we were watching very, very closely. Maybe it gives us some closure. It gives some people, as they said, a way to be able to relate to their past and maybe make good use of that. What about that? Wow. It is all Starr Radio UK. Vodafone Ghana Foundation discharges patients in homecoming initiative at Menchia Government Hospital. Some of the stories making the rounds. And Ibrahim Tanko angry with Black Star Meteors players despite win over Congo. And as in not by election, Judge Kwesi could emerge victorious. Kobe Mensah explains. I'm going to be telling you more about that. But this is the same person who is being taunted that he is subject to investigation that will end him in prison, as said by the president. Interesting one there. Well, as I did say earlier on, you want to know more, make sure your dials are logged on this evening exactly at 19 hours when KB Bossman will be coming your way from there. Well, the president has chastised or criticized the former president that President Nana Dankwa took on his predecessor John Dramani Mahama during the Liberty final rally ahead of the June 27 by-election in Asin North. Now, Mahama, who had also addressed the National Democratic Congress final rally in Gangang, made comments to the effect that the courts had been politicized, and that led to the ouster of NDC's James Judge Kwesi, a member of parliament, which ousted led to the by-election. Ekufuado blasted Mahama for the comments, describing it as unfortunate but surprising for a man whoever said that Ghanaians are forgetful. The president referred to the case of the NPP MP Adamu Dramani Sakande, who was jailed during Mahama's presidency over dual citizenship case, a similar incident to what Kwesi is facing in an Accra High Court. Now, John Mahama says it is not for politics. What the court have said of Mr. Kwesi will not be essentially that the Supreme Court has been politicized. Ghanaians easily forget, and that is why he said that. Now, what happened to Adamu Dramani Sakande during his presidency? He seems to have forgotten it. It is the exact same thing that has befallen Kwesi. Now, was it politics that led to Sakande's jailing during his presidency? Why is he relating to it now? Let us be truthful. We should be truthful. People should stop lying to people in the villages he jabbed. Well. You want to know more? We'll see more this evening when we have KB Bossman and his panel joining you to bring you one thing that you got to know. But remember, last Friday I did talk about this, that when Victor Smith, the former the former Ghana's rep here in the UK, went on to say that MPP MP for Insuta Kwaman Beposo had US citizenship in the 2020 election, and he's saying that if anything they should investigate that. But it seemed to be thrown or swept under the carpet, and they are going on the spot. But what do you think about all that? Lots more going to be coming your way. But a University of Ghana lecturer says that the current momentum in the Asin North constituency could result in the National Democratic Congress, James Judge Kwesi, winning the by-election. According to Professor Kobe Mensah, this is based on the three key indicators which favor the National Democratic Congress candidate. Now, he goes on further to say, now, one of the factors per his assessment hinges on the aggressiveness the party has attached to the campaign. Now, judging from how intense they have been in that community, Professor Mensah believes that the odds could be in their favor. Mr. Kwesi is facing criminal charges following a Supreme Court ruling that the Electoral Commission acted unconstitutionally in allowing him to contest the 2020 parliamentary election without proof of him renouncing his Canadian citizenship. But as to whether it's going to be sent him, Professor Mensah stressed that recent developments since the state commenced the prosecution of the outside MP has courted some empathy among the constituents, in addition to what he had done for the community. If you have to stretch it, it looks like there is quite a lot of empathy the side based on what he's done in the community and based on the fact that he is in court. So you find out from the tapes and the footage is that it's actually coming from the community. Of course, I could be wrong, but it looks like there is no sort of anger against him, and that actually puts him in a good position, he said today. Now finally, the University of Ghana lecturer believes that sentiment around the performance of the government as a whole is likely to play out in this by-election. But well, they had a by-election quite recent, I think somewhere middle belt. Do they call it middle belt in Ghana as well? And it did happen that he wasn't the individual wasn't allowed to do so. So what do you think is going to happen there? My apologies. The MPP did win that election because it was one of their seats that I think the representative died. The MP there died, and then there was a by-election. However, well, they won their seat. And I was looking at the fact that if you look at performance, then they shouldn't have won their seat at all. But well, it is sycophancy, or yes, I mean, whatever it is, whether it's a dog, whether it is a cat, whether it is a monkey, whatever it is, so far as it's cladded in the party colors and it says representing us, they all run and vote for it. Is that what has happened there? It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Is the time. Let's take a quick break. We come back and I'll bring you all the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. In Starr Radio UK, it is the morning show.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
You are listening to Starr Radio Morning Show.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now at 18 minutes past 12, and that is in the next 12 minutes we'll be taking you to Cyprus, where our own HRH Linda Pallien is to bring you Career 101. But we also got lots to do before that time. Now, on the international scene, this morning information has come through the tech floor that lets hackers control surveillance cameras. Chinese-made surveillance cameras are in British offices, high streets, and even government buildings. And Panorama has investigated security flaws involving the two top brands. How easy it is to hack them, and what does it mean for security? In a darkened studio, inside one of the BBC's house in London, a man sits at his laptop and enters his passwords. Now, thousands of miles away, a hacker is watching everything he types. Next, the BBC employee picks up his iPhone, and enters the passcode. The hacker now has that too. A security flaw in the surveillance camera on the ceiling, manufactured by the Chinese firm Hikvision, means it is now vulnerable to attack. I own that device now. I can do whatever I want with it, says the hacker. I can disable it, or I can use it to watch what's going on. At BBC, that's information that has come through. Now, thankfully, the man being watched, the hacker, is working with the BBC. This is part of a series of experiments by Panorama to test the security of some Chinese-made surveillance cameras. Now, Hikvision and Dahua are two of the world's leading manufacturers of surveillance cameras. Nobody knows how many of their units line the UK streets. Oh my goodness, but that is a breaking news that has come through. Let's welcome your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, one extraordinary aspect of the weekend's turmoil in Russia is apparent mediation role of Belarus leader Alexander Lukashenko. According to the Kremlin, Wagner mercenary boss Yevgeny Prigozhin backed down. His troops abandoned their march on Moscow, and he agreed to move to Belarus after he negotiated directly with Lukashenko. Now, but hosting the maverick commander in Belarus could be risky for Lukashenko. Now, Belarus was one of the land paths for Putin's war in Ukraine, and Russian missiles have been fired from Belarusian airspace. But so far, Lukashenko has avoided committing Belarusian troops to the war. Now, Lukashenko may find it harder to avoid being dragged into the war or into Russia's political turmoil. If Prigozhin does turn up in Belarus, it means he is abroad but easily within Russia's reach. Now, this can also be seen as payback time for the Kremlin. Putin pledges of police reinforcement helped to keep Lukashenko in power in 2020 when mass protests against Lukashenko's re-election, widely denounced as fraudulent, threatened to topple him. So Lukashenko's fate appears to closely be tied to Putin's. He's one of the few foreign leaders that Putin can rely on, and Belarus, like Russia, is under extensive Western sanctions. Now, Lukashenko's harsh authoritarian rule, decades old, is similar to Putin's. Both model themselves on the intolerant conservatism and militarism of the Soviet era. But the Belarusian little brother helping out the Russian big brother in his hour of need looks humiliating for Putin. Now, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu is shown on state TV visiting troops fighting in Ukraine. It's one of the stories making the rounds in the first appearance since Wagner mercenaries mutinied over the weekend. The defense minister was seen inspecting troops, but there is no indication whether or when the pictures were taken. Now, Wagner mercenary group chief Yevgeny Prigozhin has demanded Shoigu's removal and described him as evil. Meanwhile, the ruble has fallen to a 15-month low. The ruble, that's the Russian currency, has fallen to a 15-month low as financial markets begin to respond to weekend's short-lived rebellion. Now, Prigozhin agreed to leave Russia for Belarus after calling off his troops. His current whereabouts are unknown. The mutiny was a direct challenge to the Russian President Vladimir Putin and has revealed cracks in his leadership, the US have said. But how does that amount to victory or anything for the Ukrainians? So it's said to have said that instability is ratcheting up pressure on Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Mixed messages on the Wagner mutiny have been eye-raising and changing perception. Now, first, Yevgeny Prigozhin declares he's ready to go all the way in his mutiny against the Russian military. Then he makes a sudden U-turn and orders his Wagner fighters back to base. In a TV address, President Vladimir Putin declares the rebellion a criminal adventure, a grievous crime, treason, blackmail, and terrorism. Yet, just a few hours later, as part of an agreement with Putin, it revealed that all criminal charges against the Wagner leader are being dropped. So much for grievous crime. The Kremlin leaders' mixed messages have been raising eyebrows here and changing perception of President Putin. He definitely looks weaker, says Konstantin Remochukov, owner and editor in the chief of Nezavinskaya Gazeta. Now, you can't make a public statement declaring people are criminals and then on the same day, at the end of the day, let your press secretary disagree with you and say, no, those people haven't broken the criminal code. Now, Russia's former Minister for Economic Development, Andrei Nakiev, makes a similar point. In a post on social media, Mr. Nakiev urges the law has lost all power. Even the grievous crimes won't be punished due to political expediency. In the morning, a criminal case against you dropped. The country is so clearly on the threshold of big change. Big change. Bold predictions. But if change is coming, might the Wagner rebellion be the trigger? It's a question on the lips of most people there. A deal may have been done and the mutiny called off, but the fact that the uprising happened on Mr. Putin's watch is embarrassing for the president, who is also commander-in-chief of the Russian armed forces. And keep in mind, Mr. Putin's current presidential term runs out next year. So what's going to happen there? All elite groups will now begin to think about the 2024 presidential election. President Remchukov, my apologies, Mr. Remchukov, they will also says they will ask themselves whether they should rely on Vladimir Putin as they have been doing until the military coup, or should they think about someone new who is capable of dealing with problems in a more contemporary manner. Well, lots more going to be coming. Well, interestingly, the question that was posed by the Wagner leader also pertaining to their attacks or the war in Ukraine makes it quite like, whoa, what are other people really thinking? But you want to know more? Don't touch the dial. It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. We've got about another 3 minutes to cross over to Cyprus, where our own HRH Linda Pallien is. But let me bring you something from the UK front. But let me take the opportunity to say good afternoon to the man of God himself, Pastor Emmanuel Chidi. Long time no see, no hear. I hope you are doing very, very well. Thank you for joining us. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One final story, and then I bring the first part of the program to close and take you to Cyprus. A major suspect in the Stephen Lawrence murder is publicly named today for the first time, the BBC investigation has said. Now, he is Matthew White, who died in 2021, age 50. The BBC has found the Met Police seriously mishandled key inquiries related to him. In response, the Met has taken the almost unprecedented step of naming White as a suspect. Now, unfortunately, too many mistakes were made in the initial investigation, says Scotland Yard. The impact of them continues to be seen, reads the statement from Deputy Assistant Commissioner Matt Ward. Now, Baroness Doris Lawrence, Stephen's mother, said there should be serious sanctions against the police officers who fail to investigate White. Following the BBC's revelation, only when the police officers lose their jobs can the police have confidence that failure and incompetence will not be tolerated, and that changes will happen, she said. But let me take the opportunity to say good morning to my lovely police neighbors. I've got a lovely police neighbor, David, and the lovely wife and their family, Megan. I hope you're all doing very, very well. They said I need to give them a shout out when I come on the show. Well, good morning or good afternoon to you guys, and I hope that the guys are doing a good work in the house, right? Okay then. Well, listeners, we're going to take a break, and once we come back, I bring you the one and only HRH Linda Pallien on Career 101 on Starr Radio UK. Stay tuned and don't you go away.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Okay, welcome back to the program. At this juncture, I take you straight to Cyprus, where we have the one and only HRH Linda Pallien, who's going to be bringing you career 101. And I'm saying good afternoon to you, Linda, and hope you are doing very well. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was full of working, but it was good.
That's good. That's good. That's good. We love that. Okay, so what are we looking at today?
They were looking at portfolios and personal websites.
Portfolios and personal websites. Okay, now that's an interesting one. So maybe you wanna have your own portfolio. You want to do something. You want to be able to sell yourself. How do you do all that? Well, that is what exactly our own HRH Linda Pallien is going to be doing this afternoon. So let me hand over to her while she brings her presentation. Over to you, Linda.
Thank you so much. Today we've chosen to look at portfolios and personal websites. And as Archie said, it's a very topical subject to look at when you're selling yourself. Most of us are used to submitting a CV and a cover letter maybe that showcases our experience and what we do and what we're capable of. The next step further is creating a portfolio or personal website. Now, most creatives are used to creating portfolios because if you're a model or an actress, you probably will have like a portfolio of the things that you've done, or an artist will have their portfolio. But other professionals don't tend to have portfolios. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about portfolios in general for professionals and creatives as well. So how can you, as a dentist or as an accountant or as a marketing manager, still have a portfolio that will be able to sell you, and what the difference is between the portfolio and the personal website, and why you might consider having one or the other or both. So we'll just identify and look at the pros and cons of having either and the benefits of having either a personal website or a portfolio.
Okay.
Right. So this is, again, taken from the application documents in the Career Success book. So these are other application documents that you might need. Now, a portfolio, when we talk about a portfolio, it's a collection of previous work, testimonials, a showcase of what you've done in the past. And we have a portfolio because they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. You know, a portfolio really just demonstrates and gives evidence to everything that you said in your CV, that I've worked with this company, I've worked on this brand, I've worked on this campaign, I've worked with these account managers. So a portfolio will demonstrate that for you. And for creatives, as I said, for creatives, it's easy to run the campaign and say, I worked on this campaign and I did design the background music or whatever. But as an accountant or something, you could also show in your own words, it's not as straightforward as going, I work with this company and there's their logo. But you can explain in your portfolio, well, we worked on this account. And if you have a non-disclosure agreement, because some people do when you work for someone, you don't have to mention the client's name, but you can describe them. So we worked for maybe a Fortune 500 company. At this point, they were looking to balance their books and maybe look at creative ways of saving money in this arena. Then my personal responsibility of this was to evaluate these accounts and blah, 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 and then you put the results in. And those you can include in your portfolio. See, it doesn't necessarily have to be visual, but telling the story. So the portfolio goes into depth with what you did, how it impacted the company, where they were from, and as a result of your work, what the results became, and how happy they were, or what feedback you received. So it's really important to create these portfolios, because you might think it's extra and it's a lot of work, but it might be the differentiator between you and the other candidates. Being able to evidence your work in a clear manner that the recruiter will see and go, oh, actually, I totally understand. That's a very creative way of doing stuff. So definitely everybody can put together a portfolio. And on your CV and on your cover letter, you're quite limited in terms of how many words, how many pages, how much you can elaborate on your experience. On your portfolio, you can go into detail, including what softwares you used, what programs you used, who was involved as well. It's a little less structured than that. So really, if you think I have so much experience and I can't put it all in one CV, one 2-page CV or one 1-page CV, then definitely attach a portfolio which showcases what you've done. And of course, that goes a long way to sell you.
Okay. Linda, before you go on the portfolios, now, do companies or employers look, some of them, do they look into people presenting portfolios to them as well? Or you thinking that, okay, maybe let me just use that to boost out whatever that I'm doing? Which is it?
So, if you're not in an industry that typically looks at portfolios, they won't be looking, they won't be requiring a portfolio from you. However, if you've attached it, they will definitely take a look at it.
Okay.
And again, that puts you heads and shoulders above the rest, because no one else would have done that.
Okay.
And if you've submitted this extra attachment, or you have this hard copy of a portfolio with you in an interview, they will have to take a look at it, and this is all of the extra stuff that you might not have the time or the opportunity to explain in the interview. But if you've handed over this piece of paper, they have it with them, and consciously or subconsciously, it implants you in their brain, as the person that went the extra mile. And everybody's looking for somebody that goes the extra mile.
Of course. And as you said, the picture speaks 1,000 words. Okay, so, well, it's up to you if you are listening to us this afternoon. Yes, Career 101, creating portfolios and personal website. That's what we are looking at. We have HRH Linda Pallien, who is doing the presentation. And let's go back to Linda. Over to you.
Fantastic. So we'll round up on portfolios. Again, it shows that you're proactive and motivated. I touched on this earlier. You can have a hard copy, and I would always recommend you have both. You can have a hard copy that you give out physically at your interviews, especially if it's visual. But also you can have an electronic copy that you attach when you do your application forms. If you're applying by email, you can send it as an attachment by email. Usually when you're filling application forms, there's usually a button for additional evidence. You can attach that there too. So I would suggest to have both copies, just in case. And also the recruiter might not be the same person that interviews you, so whether you've given it to them already in an email, it serves you well if you have it in hard copy to present to the person in front of you. as well. So you've got your hard copy and you've got your online version. Now let's talk about what else goes into a portfolio, and then we'll talk about personal websites. So when you start gathering your evidence, you want to take screenshots of emails as proof. You know, if you take off the sensitive data, photos of the project, but also it needs to be structured in a way that everything that you include should say something, and a specific something about you, rather than, oh, this is a nice to have. You know, then I'm going to go through 20, 30 pages. But if you organize your portfolio in a way that it evidences key skills that are necessary for the job, it really helps. So identify what you're trying to say or trying to portray in your portfolio. Be intentional when you create it. And consider what format it needs to be as well, whether it's hard copy or not. Be creative as well in terms of how you portray it, especially if it's not in the creative industry where it's all pictorial. You don't want to write essays about what you've done. So just a few bullet points that highlight it and including visuals where necessary will really help. A good rule of thumb is to try and include as many of the 5 senses as possible, because everyone learns differently. So some people might appreciate the paragraph by reading, some people might appreciate the visuals, some people might appreciate the statistics, some people might appreciate experience and experiential learning, you know, of saying, imagine and creating this scenario and taking them on a journey where you immerse them in whatever the project was. You know, so you can do a small exercise to demonstrate that. So as much as you can include all the 5 senses, the better it will be for you in your portfolio. And of course, you can tailor your portfolio to different jobs that you apply to. If you're doing a portfolio on modeling and you're now applying to an industry that doesn't really, where those transferable skills are not the key skills required, then you would be selective about how much of your modeling stuff you include in there.
So on that, so you have to make sure that the transferable skills are something to have got something to do with the presentation that you are doing. If not, don't put it in.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can mention it briefly, but don't make that the focal point of what you're trying to say, because if, for example, if you're going to factory work, it's not relevant to them, and then that would derail the interview. So being discerning is important when including stuff in your portfolio.
All right, continue.
And make sure that it's consistent with your brand. That's the last thing I will say as well. If you want it to come across as super organized or color coded or whatever impression it is you've given from your CV and your cover letter, then make sure it's consistent as well. I won't go putting in, or I wouldn't have someone else create a portfolio for you and then it doesn't match with the person sitting in front of them. If it's super manicured and super tailored and color coded, and you are a complete different whatever the opposite of that is.
Good.
So that you didn't do your work yourself and you don't want to start off by cheating.
Of course.
So now let's look at personal websites, because I get asked about this a lot. Should I have my own website? Everything is digital nowadays, and you know, rather than making my CV and tailoring it, if I have my website, then they can go look. You know, for some reason, this is people think, well, if I create a website, then people are just gonna go to look. Think about how reluctant you are to click on a link when you're not convinced what's being.
I wouldn't do that. Okay, Linda, we can't hear you.
No.
Okay, yes, now I can hear you. No, it's gone again.
Okay.
Yes, I think you're back.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. That's my train of thought there. But again, Your website is, if you create a website with, people think if you create a website and maybe I put my modeling stuff on one section and the other stuff on one section, it makes it confusing. And if the more work, the more barriers to discovering who you are, the less likely people will follow through and go all the way to read your About Me section, to read your engineering section, to read your whatever. Personal website is a good asset, but make sure it's intentional.
Okay.
When if you do decide to do it, it's a good tool, and it shows proactivity, and it shows that you have a brand, or you believe in yourself, and it's a good showcase, and it's more accessible than printing off a CV or having a bio ready. But make sure it serves a particular purpose. You want it to be easy to navigate. They can go to the right place. If you want to send them just the CV aspect of it, then make sure the link goes directly to the CV. And it doesn't go to the homepage and then they have to look for the CV aspect of it.
Okay.
So there's different benefits of having a personal website. Two things to definitely include: it should have a strong About Me section, but also your personal contact, how they can reach you from there. So definitely must include. It can be one page. It doesn't have to be an elaborate website. It doesn't even have to be a paid website. You can have one of these free extensions. I think to some extent, depending on what job you're trying to go for, you can be forgiven for having a free website with just a page on there. As long as it's a well-presented page. What are the benefits of a personal website? It boosts your online image. It comes in handy when you're being headhunted, so that you're not having to now tailor a job or tailor your CV or spend time from your current occupation to tailor it to it. But you can direct people there easy, so it's an online presence ready for whoever is looking to have you. And it doesn't say, oh, I've just put my CV out there. It was already there. I just send them a link to it to see who I am. And your LinkedIn profile to some extent can do this for you too.
Okay.
It makes you easily searchable, so it enhances your search engine optimization as an individual. You can control what people see about you when they search for your name, which is really helpful if you've been in different industries and you're trying to control the narrative of where you want to go into. It showcases your creativity for sure. It's an easy way to contact you or to showcase who you are. And it's a quick way to show your competencies without having to explain so much. And you can put videos on there so you can evidence everything that you're trying to convey in a really easy way, in a one-stop way. Yes, so you can have a personal website when it comes to just a general showcase of who you are and trying to have a hub where people can contact you. But generally, a portfolio will do for a job application. A personal website is a step further. And you can have both, of course.
Okay.
As well, as long as they're consistent. You don't want to have different portals that represent different aspects of your multiple personalities. It becomes confusing.
Wow. Listeners, HRH Linda Pallien today on Career 101, looking at creating portfolios and personal websites. Now, are you trying to do something of the sort and you're not very sure of it? Well, this all came from the book that she's written. So those of you who joined in the first part, the early part of the conversation, you could see the books there. Now this time around, I'm going to be directing you, let me put it that way, to the books, or referring to the books. So once we have the conversation or the summary, go to the books and then you can get a summary from there, the details and everything there. But for today, I will let her summarize what we've discussed, and then but subsequent ones, you want to know more, we want to help you. So go get your hands on the books. They are very, very cheap. Looking at it, because there are resources that once you have it, your life changes big time. Okay, so it's very, very important. Okay, so let me go back to Linda. She'll summarize, and then we'll bring. She'll talk briefly about the books. I've been talking about these books wherever I go. You know, I'm like, I think I need to get some commission on that. You know, but no, I'm doing it for my Linda, so I'm supposed to do that. Yes. Okay, so let's go back to Linda for a summary of what we discussed, and then she'll talk about the books as well. Over to you, Linda.
Fantastic. So today's topic is picked from the Career Success book, and it's from the section Creating Outstanding Profiles. Everybody knows how to create a profile, but can you create a profile that stands out, that will get you a call back every time? That's what we've been talking about. Definitely. So we spoke about creating portfolio and personal websites. We found out that portfolios are for everyone, not just for creatives. So even if your job is mundane as a security guard or whatever it is, or as a whatever job you do, you know, that isn't necessarily a creative, or you wouldn't immediately think portfolio. I've given you some tips that you can use to create a portfolio that makes your image much better and makes it sticky in the minds of people rather than just using your words. So for example, if you created, I'll use a security guard example. If you created an avatar, for example, so me as a security guard, I'm the equivalent of Jack Reacher. For example, I do this and I believe in this and here are my values and it's embodied in this. And you can see it via these examples when I worked as a security guard for the mall or for the president, and I did this, and in this instance this happened, whatever. And you can create creatively that storyline that really elaborates who you are as a professional. So it's not just for creatives. You as a professional, you can creatively use a portfolio to showcase more of what your personality is and why you deserve the job or the promotion or the pay rise, whatever you're going for.
Okay.
We spoke about the different formats of your portfolio as well and when to use which one. We've spoken about the advantages of having a portfolio. And then we spoke about personal websites as well, how you can do it easily, more accessibly, more cheaply, but why it's beneficial, how you can do it so it's consistent, how you can share that link. In the cases when it will be easier for you to have a personal website, if you want to showcase a particular section, then you can send this particular link to people explaining what they'll see and they'll go and click on it. And we spoke about don't just share a link, tell them what they're going to see or what to look out for so that they go onto your site with a purpose. So that really helps when it comes to just having an online place where you can control the narrative, people can go find out more about you, and of course how to contact you. Don't forget that. Make sure that your contact me is very visible for that. If you want to know more, as I said, it's taken from the Career Success book, and there's a detailed explanation of other ways to create an outstanding profile. These are only 2 ways. There's so many ways, so definitely go check it out. You can find this book on Amazon UK. You can find it Amazon.com all around the world, in Canada, in the Asian countries, in Australia, in the US as well. Definitely. The first book is How to Career, which will help you in deciding which career to go for. The second book will help boost the career that you've chosen to go into. And the third book, which is the Career Workbook, will take you through step by step which stage of your career you are at, evaluate and see if it's the right step for you, and how to get to the next level. So those are the 3 books. They're available online. Just Google Career and Linda Pallien, and that should come up easily for you.
Okay. Now, Linda, your contact details, please. Yes, so that we can contact you.
Contact me on lindapallien.com or on social media at Linda Pallien on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also on LinkedIn. More importantly, LinkedIn.
Okay. Linda, let me say thank you very much for another wonderful presentation today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, have a lovely day. Right then. Bye-bye. Well, that has been Linda Pallien once again bringing you Career 101. It comes your way every Monday from exactly 12:30. So wherever you are, I hope that you enjoy that program. But let's take this quick commercial break. I come back and then we run up the program. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Okay, so thank you very much for joining us today for this wonderful program. We're going to bring in the program to a close, and this evening, as I did announce earlier on, KB Bossman will be coming your way with the special Faith Talk program. This time around, looking at the Asin North election, Asin North by-election in Ghana, asking who is going to be winning, especially when the NDC's parliamentary candidate still has a case to answer as to whether it's going to be charged for criminality of the sort or what. I'm not very sure what is going to happen there, but whatever it is, I want to salute you and I say have a lovely, lovely, jubbly afternoon. But remember, one thing for sure, there is always something inside you that is so strong than whatever is going on around you. Yeah, so don't throw in the towel. Keep on keeping on. When that song ends and you don't hear from me, it's been me, Archie. Enjoy Mika Paris. Something inside so strong. Bye bye for now.
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. The further you take my rights away, the faster I will run.
Thanks for listening.
You can decide to turn.
Thanks for listening.
No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho. Your lies will come tumbling.